JCB Triumph Hurdle, on we go. A race in which our panellists have a good record here. Devi Desoy is the favourite here for Philip Hobbs. Beggar Fortune for Ireland next best. Nicky still has Charlie Parkes in the race, who, well, would he or wouldn't he have beaten Master Blue Eyes, trained by Alan King, in the Adonis Hurdle at Kempton? And that's the big question we need to ask ourselves. Alan, what do you think?
Ask Nicky first.
Would you... What do you think, Nicky? Would you have beaten Alan's horse at Kempton if you'd stood up?
We don't know what would have happened at Kempton, but I know what will happen at Cheltenham.
That's what we like. What'll happen?
We're waiting.
Charlie Parkes. I love this horse, and I think he's very, very good. I've got to think that I'm not saying we would have won. It was a funny. Charlie got into a bit of a muddle down the back. He's quite inexperienced. I'm not saying he's going to learn a lot, but we'll have to just maybe get down a different route with him this way. He's been very good. His schooling was fantastic. I'm afraid he came out of the race quite a lot better than Barry did. As you know, sadly, he's going to be missing. And I promise you that hurts him as much as, he'd be riding a lot of these very good horses. And it's sad that he won't be here. But Charlie Parkes luckily came out of the fall a lot better. It's never worried him. He schooled 2 or 3 times since. He was great. Noel rode him yesterday. He schooled him, and he was great. His work was excellent. This is a horse I'm mad about, and I think he's hugely talented. I think Philip's horse is very good. Defi Desoy. I do think he's going to be the horse on soft ground. I admit that Charlie Parkes might be better on good ground. I would love it to go good ground by Friday. Alan's horse, great. We've met 3 times, I think, with Divin Bear and Charlie Parkes before, so I'm sure Blue Eyes he obviously has improved considerably. He's on the up. I'm mad about Charlie Parkes, so there you go.
Nicky, sorry, just as an observer watching that day, why did he get into so much trouble down the back? Because he wasn't travelling at all, Charlie, was he? Is that just immaturity, or...?
Yeah, Noel will actually tell you that he was slightly doing the same thing the first time. It's only the 3rd hurdle race he's ever had, 3rd race of any description he's had of any kind. Noel just said that even the first time. For a moment, he's thinking, Henderson's told me this is a machine, and I'm not travelling like one. Just for a few strides and a few moments, and he jumped a hurdle, and then he pulled him out, turning into straight, and he disappeared. It was electric, and that's what we were expecting. I was expecting more of the same in the Adonis, to be fair, and it was concerning that he didn't travel down the back straight like that. But a gap appeared, and I do believe he just grabbed hold of the bridle. The reason he fell, he was just suddenly, he had taken off. He was travelling at a lot. The turbo had kicked in, and he was he grabbed it a little bit and lost concentration. I think he suddenly was racing, and he tipped up, and that was sad. But your horse was very impressive. We've met with Divin Bear at Huntingdon. Divin Bear's going somewhere else, because I just think Charlie Parkes is different class.
Well, if there's one takeaway from this evening, I think is what you've just heard in the last 2.5 minutes. Alan, what? Alan, you may as well run 5 in the Fred Winter and just take these out, mightn't you?
Well, I'm worried about Nicky's eyesight, because if he thought Charlie Parkes was going to win the Adonis, because Tom hadn't moved a muscle on Master Blue Eyes, and the one thing that impressed me about the Charlie Parkes, but we galloped all the way to the line as well. The one thing he couldn't do is he couldn't pull him up. He was way around the backs, the fast straight before he could stop him, and it's always a good sign. And he's been a little bit of a slow burner this year, Master Blue Eyes. We obviously had big hopes for him at the start of the season as my best juvenile. He'd been a very progressive flat horse, mile 6, winner at York and places. And I thought so much of him. I even debuted him in the Wensleydale, which is a listed race. And he made a dreadful mistake at the second and was never travelling after that, and came home very lame, and it took me a long time to get him back, hence the reason he didn't run again till Kempton over Christmas. We finished second to Charlie Parkes, who was very impressive on the day, but I knew my lad was going to improve a hell of a lot. And he went to Ludlow, and a very ordinary race, but he bolted up, and I've never seen a horse thrive and take so much out of a win. he was in such good form. That's why I decided to let's go to the Adonis and see if we have got a Triumph Hurdle horse. And
Charlie Parks and Master Blue Eyes, the rematch is on. With all that said,
I still think Philip's horse is the one to beat. He's rated 155.
he can't be.
Huh?
He can't be the one to beat.
He is, because he sets a very high standard. Normally a rating like that would be good enough to win a Triumph Hurdle. And he's been round Cheltenham, which is a great... He reminds me very much of Catch It. He keeps doing it. I mean, people are knocking his jumping, but he didn't jump well in the finale. I accept that. I do think he still sets the standard.
TC.
Modern day bookmaking isn't probably what it was, but what it isn't. And that's why exchanges are coming more to the fore. After Master Blue Eyes won at Kempton, there were some of the most ludicrous quotes I've ever seen given about a horse that had just won an Adonis by 11 lengths. Now, one firm...
When you say ludicrous quotes, you mean from bookmakers rather than the trainers?
Yeah,
afterwards?
from bookmakers, yeah. I mean, one firm cut it from 25s from 33s. Another firm left it at 20s, 16s and 14s with a general price. Now, it's probably the biggest rick I've ever seen. I mean, I'm firmly with Alan. I mean, I just can't believe that Charlie Parks would have kicked into an overdrive to actually match his Master Blue Eyes' finishing kick. Now, like I said, Master Blue Eyes was travelling so well throughout that race, and he actually put 11 lengths between him and a 142 rated filly in Evening Hush. Now, that was some performance, and how anybody could have thought that deserved to be a double-figure price on the back of that performance, I don't know. It was, within 24 hours, it was 8-1, and that's pretty much the same price now. I think he's on a massive upward curve, Master Blue Eyes. He would be my recommended in the race. Yeah. And I think Mega Fortune is probably a little bit underrated, but I do know, from speaking to the Irish jockeys, that they think the Irish juveniles aren't a match for the English juveniles this year, so that might play. But I think Master Blue Eyes at around about 8-1 is still the best price in the race.
Tony, the only slight worry about the Irish, we thought that last year, and I think they filled the first 4 places in the Triumph. But I mean, I agree. I don't think they look very good, but I think we thought exactly the same this time last year, and they were impressive.
Given that some of the Joseph O'Brien horses, they might be better on better ground if we do get good ground on Friday. So that could be a consideration. The likes of Lander, Hope and Glory might be better on better ground, but. And Mega Fortune, I think he's the second highest rated horse in the race as well. So you have to give Mega Fortune credit. But like I said, I do like your Master Blue Eyes. I thought he would have won at Kempton.
A Mega Fortune, second time headgear, will it work as well second time? We're not sure about it.
Well, he's not trained by you, so probably not.
Jamie,
yeah.
You've ridden against a lot of these. You have a lot of juvenile hurdlers. You tend to be pretty strong in this division. So I think your opinion is probably more important than anybody else's here.
Well, Defi de Sol, from the day I saw him win at Foss Lass, I thought just the way he was, like, Foss Lass is so deep, we won't go down that road again, but the ground is so deep, and the way he was pulling through the line, and I was very impressed with him. He's done all his winning on bad ground, but I think Alan, he deserves a lot of credit. I remember Master Blue Eyes, would he get beat his first 2 or 3? And then he said his horse to follow for the rest of the season was Master Blue Eyes. I read it somewhere a weekend or something, I thought he's mad. And then it hacked up at Ludlow, like you said, so well, and then it done it again. So he obviously knew what he had, and I think it's a very good race. And I have been bang on for Defi de Sol, but I think Master Blue Eyes, I think he could still be improving, And but if you had to nail me down, I would go Defi de Sol if you had to nail me down, but Master Blue Eyes, I don't think he'd be far away from him.
Master Blue Eyes is getting a lot of love. Nicky's just finishing the ultra-hard Sudoku because he's stopped listening to anything else other than Charlie Parks about 10 minutes ago. One in the...
I've gone on to the Gold Cup, sorry.
The 9 in the bottom right-hand corner, I reckon.
Nicky can't be too rude to me tonight because he needs a lift home, so...